Always do the following before using any power tool. First of all, make sure you remove or tuck in any loose clothing. You don't want any baggy shirts or hoodies or anything like that hanging down. So you should either remove or tuck those in as needed. You want to remove any jewelry. The only thing that would be acceptable would be a watch that's tight fitting, something like that. If you have a wedding band, that would be all right. But anything else, you want to make sure you remove that and put it away, put it in your pocket. You always want to tie back any loose hair so that you can clearly see the tool that you are using, because the worst thing that you can do is not see what you're doing. You certainly don't want to have your view obstructed. And then, of course, the most important rule, always number one in the workshop, is to always make sure you're wearing your safety glasses. If you have your safety glasses on, the odds of anything going in your eye is greatly reduced. Of course, that's the number one safety rule for us. All right, here we are at the drill press. I'm going to go through some vocabulary and some parts of the drill press for you. First of all, the drill press is used for either boring or drilling holes in stock. And usually when you talk about boring and drilling, I'm not talking about boring as in this is boring, I'm going to fall asleep. What I'm talking about is when you drill a hole completely through a piece of stock, like you will with your axle holes here, as I'll do in just a second. That is drilling. But boring is typically when you bore a hole into something, like at the back of your stock here for your CO2 dragster. That hole is only about 2 inches deep. Okay, so that doesn't go all the way through. So that hole has been bored out. So either drilling or boring, those two functions are essentially what goes on with a drill press. Okay, as far as the other parts of the drill press, back here in the back of the tool, I'm going to move this lamp up a little bit. That is the actual motor. The electric motor is, of course, what makes it a power tool. The switch, which is up here in the front, it looks like a light switch. That turns the drill press on or off, controls the motor. And then, of course, you have the spindle, which is connected to the motor by a belt. I'm going to actually show you what that looks like here in just a second. But the spindle is right here. It actually goes up inside of the drill press itself. And if we go over here to the other side here, I'm going to zoom out here so you can show you the top. It's kind of a look inside under the hood. There is the pulley system. You typically don't want to do this, but just for illustration, you can see that pulley system in operation. Obviously, we want to keep the cover on for protection of your fingers, but I just want to see what it looks like, show you what it looks like. And you may notice that there's a little bit of a chart right here. There's a chart that shows you different speeds. So you can change, depending on these belt positions, you can change the different speeds for the spindle. Okay? So we'll close that down there. Okay. Now, as far as the rest of the drill press goes, the chuck key, or the chuck, allows you to tighten or loosen the bit. Now, the chuck or the chuck key looks like this. It's usually set on a tray here on the side of the drill press. And the chuck or the chuck key simply goes into this part of the chuck right here. I'll zoom in for you to see that. And these little holes, and there's usually 2 or 3 of them around the chuck. You go ahead and put it in there like that, and you can see these little teeth mesh with this gear. You push it in like that, turn to the left, do that a couple times, and you can see that bit just fell right out of there. So put that bit right back in, you hold it in place, and just do the exact opposite. Tighten it up real good, nice and snug, and you always want to make sure it's centered in your spindle, meaning the bit. All right, speaking of bits, a bit is the name for the cutting tool that's mounted in the spindle, as you can see right there. And the table is right here. The table, and actually is underneath here, the original table. The table is what supports the stock, and we'll talk about what this thing here is here in just a second. The down feed handle allows you to move the spindle up and down, and that is actually over on the right side. So if we slide this over, you're going to see that this is the spindle handle, and as you can see, I control the movement up and down. And what's really important, and we'll demo this here in just a second, you want to make sure that you don't let go of this because it's spring loaded and this will pop up on you. So you always want to be controlled in your milling operation on any machine, but in this case on the drill press. Okay, so that's the down feed handle. The white table here that is on our drill press, this we use as what we call a backer board, and you can see this has already been drilled into. What the backer board allows us to do is it allows us to prevent what we call chip out. If you were to drill through a piece, like I have in this one many times, you can see that it's very jagged and it doesn't look really good. Okay? If I was to drill through and have a backer board in position like this, then that would seriously prevent chip out because it's already pressed up against another piece of stock in this table. And this table is made out of just a laminate. It's a piece of what we call melamine. So it's just basically a particle board that's been glued together. So it's not going to hurt the bit at all. We wouldn't want to do that into metal though usually, wood versus metal.